CarolinaPrepper.com. If you're looking for quality food storage for hiking, fishing, hunting, basic survival needs, or just for everyday use, check out our food storage line at CarolinaPrepper.com. We also carry other fine quality products, such as our can-can concealment holsters for men and women. Keeping your firearm under cover and within reach puts confidence in your hands in any situation. Our products are 100% American-made. Check us out today at CarolinaPrepper.com.
Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
Welcome, everybody, to Knowles on the News. I'm so glad that you could be here with us today, joining us for Wednesday. I know that some of you will be hearing this on a different day than on Wednesday, but it is Wednesday, the day after an amazing, amazing Arizona rally with President Trump. I don't know if you saw it. If you didn't see it, you need to go watch it. It was inspiring. It was enthusiastic. A lot of people there to support the president, to let him know that, that he's cared about, that we don't believe the lies of the left, and that we're there to support you, Mr. President. It's amazing to me how he went for an hour and almost an hour and a half to talk about things that he wanted to talk about, to connect with the American public. I don't know how this 71-year-old man does it. I really don't. I can't even begin to understand how he has that much energy. I mean, basically, when he finished up last night in Arizona, it was 11:15 his time. He had to fly back to D.C., and I'm guessing he's been up and doing the daily routine very early, as he normally does. I mean, the man seems to have absolute endless energy that the rest of us would love to have. I know that certainly I would. But again, in watching that rally last night, it was so great. People ask me, why is the president having so many rallies? I mean, he won. Why is he doing that? Isn't that something you do during the campaign? Well, part of it is, I think, that he's raising funds for his 2020 campaign. But I also think it's his time to be able to come out, be with us, talk to us. He does that somewhat on Twitter, but it's not really the same as when you go out and you're when there's a crowd of enthused people that you can feel a part of, that you can connect with, that you get immediate response. I mean, even with Twitter, he responds and you can get, vile things back from the left. I'm sure he does constantly. But it's not like being there and hearing people cheering for you and giving you the thumbs up and telling you, we have your back, that type of thing. And looking and see blocks and blocks and blocks of people that are waiting in line to see you for hours sometimes. That's got to be great for him. And a lot of people are, that's just feeding his ego. No, I think, if you or I were in that position and the president of the United States, where I believe in particular with him, he's so isolated from, people just sort of, the people around him sort of shrinking, I guess, if you will, day to day. And he's had to fire a lot of people that he thought were people that could be trusted and maybe were leakers, and other people who decided they were going to leave because they'd had enough, whatever the reason is. So I think it's great when he gets out there and he can really talk to the crowd and feel their love, feel their excitement, feel that they are supporting him. Because again, how many of the times does he get to hear, especially the left and Congress, telling him how much that he's not liked by the public, or how he should do this, or he's not doing, for example, I wrote an article at SusanKnowles.com about the wall. The left has endless amounts of whatever excuses, issues, whatever that they can talk about, right? Why they don't like President Trump, why he's not a good president, why America shouldn't like him. They still haven't gotten over the fact that Hillary lost. Okay, Hillary lost. Get over it. But now they're coming out and saying, oh well, he didn't. He hasn't built that wall. He said he was going to build that wall. He hasn't built that wall. Since when is the left interested in whether or not that this president gets right on that task of building that wall. I thought they were against the wall, right? So why do they want to bring that up? Well, because it fits their agenda. It's just another way, another excuse, another thing that they can bring up about this president that says, oh, he lied to you. He's incompetent, whatever the case may be. We already have the House that set aside, what was it, $1.6 billion to build the wall. But you can guarantee now that the left is bringing this out, the DNC especially, who's bringing up the wall and the fact that the president hasn't built the wall yet, that this is something that in September, they're going to fight and fight and fight to try to get that money, that $1.6 billion that's been earmarked by the House. You can guarantee the Senate is going to fight tooth and nail to take that money away. And many feel that they're going to try to threaten shutting down the government in order to do so. And they'll try to throw in, something about the Dreamers because they love the Dreamers. They want more voters. And so President Trump even last night said, we're going to get that wall whether we have to close down the government or not. Now, I know that probably freaked some people out, but people I know said, good, about time. Do whatever it takes to get your agenda done. Because these people are not going to stop. They think that we still have a weak, I was going to say something else, but I stopped myself, that we have this weak president that's going to get in line and do what the left tells them to do. No, this isn't the last president where we had the GOP caving every single time, where we had Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell getting in lockstep with them. Excuse me. That's not what we have here. We finally have a president that says, you can get in lockstep with my agenda because I'm the president. Because I'm going to do what's right for the American public, unlike you. And unlike the GOP, who like to get in lockstep with Obama, they got some benefit out of it from Obama. This is a new administration. And he's telling them that. He's laying the groundwork now, as if they didn't know it already, but now they really know it. Because he said, no, we'll shut down the government if we have to. It's fine. And I know people, will support that. Because they're tired of people, I don't know, 2 senators I can think of, McCain and Flake. And by the way, it was so great in bringing them out last night in Arizona, without bringing up their names, without saying their names, because he had been told, don't mention anybody's name, just, try to chill, don't say anything. So he's like, okay. So the 2 senators that you have, Arizona, you need to get them in line. And he talked about, that one vote with health care. John McCain, of course, he didn't say that, but everybody knew. And I in a lot of ways, I hope this president doesn't listen too much to his advisors. Because he needs to remain the person that he is. The person that we elected. We don't want somebody who's sitting in there politically correct or won't call somebody out when they need to be called out. I don't care if it's a rally or not. John McCain last night, it would have been great to say John McCain's name. Now, maybe because John McCain isn't well, maybe that was another reason not to say anything. I don't know. And I know this president wishes John McCain well, as does many people and most people that I know. Would not wish somebody ill will that is suffering and maybe even, terminal in their health. But as a senator, as we know, he was grandstanding, running up there to get that vote in against health care. That needs to be called out, and he did it without mentioning his name. And I really wanted him last night to endorse Kelly Ward. I know over Jeff Flake. And I know that he will eventually come out. I really feel strongly that he's going to come out And he's going to say, I support Kelly Ward. He so much has said that on Twitter, but I think pretty soon he's going to make an official announcement to get Jeff Flake out of office. Such a big disappointment. I've never been more disappointed, I think, in somebody that the Republicans really thought this guy was who he said he was, that he was a conservative, that he was on our side, and he wasn't. He was a flake. Okay, let's put it in simple terms. He was a flake, and he flaked out on the GOP and became somebody who now is speaking out against the president, doing what he's supposed to do under, if you're a rhino. He's right in step with everybody. He's in the good old boy network, and he's doing, what he needs to do to try to keep his job, and hoping that people like Mitch McConnell will help him keep his job, and people like Paul Ryan. Hopefully he's wrong about that. He needs to go, along with John McCain when he's up for re-election. These people have done nothing for Arizona but hurt them. Why, John McCain, people say, how does he get reelected? There's special interest groups in Arizona, unfortunately, that support John McCain and are successful in getting him reelected. We need to find out exactly who that group is and put more money into it than the group that is supporting John McCain into the candidate that we want, Kelly Ward, for Jeff Flake's seat. But I think also in the rally last night, I think he really wanted to come out and say, I'm going to pardon Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And I think he wanted to do it last night. I think he wanted to just go ahead and say, you know what? I've already signed an order right before I got off the plane. Everything's all set. Arpaio, you've been pardoned. But he didn't do that because he knew that would upset some in Arizona. He knew about the people that were outside, and he refrained from saying that. But he did say to Joe, there's nothing that you need to worry about any longer. So he's going to pardon him. I don't know when. Probably, I would say very soon. I don't know if it's going to be, in the public eye and a big announcement. I think it's just going to be done. And, of course, the media will be picking up on it and telling everybody and going crazy over it. But that's coming. And I think it's a good thing because, while I haven't studied all about what happened, in what I've learned is that Joe was following federal law and having his officers go out and help with bringing to justice and arresting, detaining, whatever word you want to use, those people illegally in the country. And I think Obama made this his political mission to get Arpaio, and that's what happened. When they should have been following the federal law all along, and, the DOJ is trying to get people to follow the federal law now and not in supporting sanctuary cities. So I know I and others have been called a racist because we support Joe Arpaio. Well, no racist bone in my body, but I do know right from wrong. And if there's a law on the books, that law ought to be enforced. And it looks like in this case, that's what Arpaio was doing. So I think his getting pardoned is justified. I mean, it's not like some of the pardons that we saw under Obama where people were selling drugs, doing drugs, things of that nature, breaking the law in that regard. How many of those people were pardoned? Obama pardoned a lot of people. If you only have to look it up to see he pardoned a lot of people. But nobody wants to talk about that because, Obama could do no wrong. So I feel that the president pardoning somebody that was following federal law is a good thing. And, Joe is 85. His wife is in her 60s and suffering, I believe, from cancer, somebody had said. And I think the last thing that he needs to worry about is going to jail at 85 years old. I don't know. It wouldn't be so far-fetched to even know that if he went to jail, some of the prisoners that he put away would show him respect. Because this guy was trying to do what was right for Arizona. Keep them safe. Keep the illegals out of Arizona. And, Some people don't like that. But I also thought what was so good last night is how the president called out the media. I mean, man, no holds barred. He was letting them have it. Fake news. You've turned your cameras off in here. Every time I say something, you either misquote me or you don't say what I say. I mean, and it's obvious. It's obvious to everybody except those on the left. And it's even obvious to them. It's just that if they admit it, it doesn't fit their agenda and it doesn't forward their agenda. So they have to pretend like, oh no, that whole thing about Charlottesville, you didn't do that well. I'm still, and a lot of people that I know are still trying to figure out what is not doing it well when you say, I'm calling out all wrongdoers. Not just one, all of you. I mean, when have we become a society that you're only supposed to call out the wrongdoing of the color of the skin that you think that should be called out? I mean, there's since white supremacy was the only thing he was supposed to call out, to me that has something to do with the color of skin, not wrongdoing, criminal acts, lawlessness, which we should be focused on. And if you're going to call white supremacists out, then you need to call out Antifa, Black Lives Matter, KKK, neo-Nazi, white supremacy, and anybody else who happened to be breaking the law that day. And so President Trump took some time. Here's what I said. I did the right thing. I said it the way I should have, and people agree. The only people who don't agree are those that have an agenda on the left to make it look like Donald Trump's a racist. Donald Trump's not denouncing white supremacy, although he's denounced David Duke in the campaign and since then. See, it'll never be enough, because if it were enough, then it doesn't fit the agenda. I mean, if you've noticed right now, we haven't heard anything about Russia since Charlottesville happened, because they're holding on to Charlottesville. That's the new agenda. Let's go back to the old playbook. Let's go back to pushing racism again. It worked under Obama. I mean, he divided this nation, and it was starting to kind of just creeping back a little bit to heal. But of course, we can't let that happen. No, now we've got to talk about racism and the continuation of Confederate this and Confederate that. That was started under Obama with the Confederate flags and started by Nikki Haley, unfortunately, who wanted all the flags removed. Until then, nobody cared. And trust me, they don't care now about the monuments. There are one or two people who probably care. One or two people who think this is what this is all about. But it has nothing to do with Confederate monuments. Those monuments have stood there for over 100 years and nobody cared. I don't even think that people knew that they were Confederate monuments for the most part. I mean, there were people now that, who don't like the Confederate monuments, and what do? Well, they're pouring red paint on Christopher Columbus. As far as I know, and my history serves me well, he wasn't a Confederate soldier. Abraham Lincoln, who was, deemed as freeing the slaves, that statue was burned. So, again, it has nothing to do with Confederate monuments. And I'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute, but one of the things that I wanted to say too, you could tell that going into this rally, the left already had their game books out. They had a playbook. They'd already had, I'm sure, already had a meeting. Okay, so here's what you want to do. Right after the rally, I want you guys, get people in front of the camera, get them on CNN, MSNBC, call Don Lemon because he'll do anything we want him to do because the guy just loves us. But let's get on there and let's talk about, let's bring it back to where we were a couple of weeks ago, where Donald Trump is unhinged, he's crazy, we're concerned about him, things of that nature. Because that seems to work for a little while. And we haven't said it in a while, so we want to bring that back in the public eye. So once again, the public's going to go, oh my gosh, I'm really concerned. And so what do? Well, they roll out James Clapper. You know, James Clapper, former National Intel Director. I mean, he's so reliable. We all know that. So he comes out, first thing, I'm just a little concerned about the president. Things that he said tonight, and he was really, you would have loved the dramatics. I hope you saw the video with talking to Don Lemon. I don't know. He's got his fingers, on the code, basically saying that. Now I'm worried because he just seems to have, that speech is so like way out there, so unhinged. Well, here's the thing. If that speech was so unhinged, so way out there, then you're going to say that America, for the most part, is unhinged and way out there and outrageous and crazy, right? Because there were people there who loved the speech. People who were on the outside listening to the speech loved the speech. People watching from their living rooms, anywhere they could get on, Periscope, Facebook, Fox News, or any other outlet, that they could, YouTube, they could get on to see, just stream it to me. I want to hear what he has to say. And by the way, while I'm thinking of it, I thought the best thing of the night was when Donald Trump said these words. Your dreams are my dreams. Your hopes are my hopes. And your future is what I'm fighting for each and every day. Oh my gosh. That was amazing. So let's see, James Clapper, was that way out there? Was that scary for you? Was the truth about the media scary for you? Tell me which part was scary for you, James, because he said a lot of truth last night, and I'm guessing because you're on the left, the truth scares you. And so you see everything through your eyes. Wow, I guess he's found us out. He's calling out the media. He understands the truth. He knows that the American public's behind him. He represents the American public. So therefore, he's crazy. Oh, we can't trust him. He's absolutely nuts. And then we have a New York magazine that comes out and puts on their headline, 23 outrageous things that President Trump talked about at the Arizona rally. 23. One of them, one of the 23 I know, had to do with the media, like you, New York magazine, and I'm sure you didn't like that. And that was outrageous because we can't talk about the mainstream media. Oh no, because we can't tell the truth about them. We can't tell about the lies that they put out there, the fake news that they put out there, the fact that they don't report what this president says, the fact that they were all in and carrying the water for Obama. No, we can't talk about that. That's outrageous. Right. See, the thing of it is, mainstream media, let me just talk to you. We understand what you're trying to do. And we understand how long you've been trying to do it. And we understand that you toil night and day to try to do everything that you can to destroy not only this president, this presidency, this America that we're trying to rebuild, and the people of the United States. Because if you were interested in any of those things, then you would get out there and do your job. And I don't care that you don't like Donald Trump. I don't care if he's hurt your little feelings. I don't care. Get out there and print the truth. Try it once. You might like it. And while you're at it, take Shepard Smith with you because nobody can stand him. The guy is so obviously biased and tries to pretend that he's not, okay? I don't care if you're biased and you have an opinion. Just say it's your opinion and say you're biased. I mean, everybody knows I'm a conservative. Everybody knows I'm giving you my opinion. Shepard, why don't you say the same thing? Why don't you come out and just tell us who you are? Don't hide behind the fact that you're on Fox trying to pretend that you're unbiased and neutral and whatever. But part of the problem is, again, that the mainstream media doesn't want to report the truth anymore. And it's sad to say that some, who call themselves conservatives, political pundits that you see on Periscope, YouTube, and whatever, they seem to be doing the same thing. 1 minute they're writing articles for the left. 1 minute they're writing articles for the right. They're talking like, oh, we're for the right, when they're writing articles under assumed names for the left. It would be great, and it is great, to hear President Trump speaking the truth, because a lot of people, have said to me, Susan, I don't even know who's telling the truth anymore. I don't even know what the truth is and what isn't. And yeah, it's really hard to tell. Again, when you have people that are fake, it's really hard to tell. When you have people that are presenting themselves on mainstream media, Periscope, and otherwise, who claim to be this person, but when you go and look at their background, there's somebody else. Yeah, it's very hard to trust those people. And that's why I tell people, don't trust anybody 100%, not even the President of the United States. And pray for discernment. You need discernment, and you're going to need it more and more in these times, because there's a lot of fake going around. There's a lot of people trying to take this president out of office. I mean, when you look around at what's going on, we're doing everything on the left, that can attack the president. And now, and again, here you go. You would expect this from the left, but I didn't expect to see this today from the right. I look at Daily Caller, and what do I see? I see a guy who's written an article that is attacking Barron Trump's wardrobe, saying, when is it that Barron Trump's going to learn how to dress as well as his parents? That he's in the White House now, basically, and he shouldn't be dressing in shorts and a T-shirt. I mean, after all, the guy is 11, but he, for some reason, should wear a suit and tie, I guess, to this guy's mind, that every time he steps off the plane, he should look like he's in a suit and tie, or at least some other attire that this guy on the right says that he should wear. I thought we weren't going to be attacking the children. I thought they were off base. Now, I guess this guy will say, well, I'm not really attacking him. I'm just trying to help him. Stop talking about Barron Trump. He's an 11-year-old boy. The fact that you're even talking about him in a somewhat negative manner is really harmful to an 11-year-old boy. I don't care if he's the president's son or the guy down the street who picks up your trash, whether it's his son or the president's. He's an 11-year-old boy that, just mentioned in national news, can be pretty daunting. So, again, people even who say that they're on our side come out and apparently either had a bad day and forgot they were on our side, or they're really not on our side. And then you have the media, who seems to, every time we have a rally like this, or I don't know, something where people come together, it's always the right's fault. You're the alt-right, you're the whacked out ones, rather than calling out people like Antifa, Black Lives Matter. Whenever I've seen these races, I've been looking for people with, the white hoods like the KKK. I've been looking for that. I've been also looking for people with KKK T-shirts, which I've never seen in my lifetime. However, there's a young black man who was on Facebook talking about his friend was there at the rally. She saw buses pulling up together with the KKK getting off of one bus, Black Lives Matter getting off another bus. And again, they're right together. So they essentially came together. And somebody had a KKK t-shirt on, which he says he's never seen either. And, coming into the rally at Charlottesville, seemingly together to go in against the Unite the Right, which was supposed to be an alt-right event, which we're finding out the guy seems to have been a Obama supporter up until recently. So again, what's going on? Okay, I have people say to me, who are, Antifa calls themselves anti-fascists. They're anything but anti-fascists. They're fascists. They're communists. That's who they are. Why they call themselves anti-fascists, I don't know. Somebody, maybe you need to explain that to me. And they even go so far as to this was a Boston Antifa. This was on Twitter. They said, let's get one thing clear. Antifa is an anarcho-communist cause. Those on the left who call us patriots, step the F away. So you might be saying, well, wait a minute, but they say they're anti-fascists. Who are they? What's an anarcho-communist? Well, let me read you a little bit of the definition of an anarcho-communist. One who advocates the abolition of the state. That would be government for people on the left who are listening. Private property and capitalism, the abolition of capitalism in favor of common ownership or control of the means of production. Only through such collective control, it argues, can the individual be free of governmental domination and economic capitalist exploitation. So you tell me, after what I've read, what in there is not communist, because everything is, and that's who they are. And this is the, communism has been around forever. People are calling it progressivism now. I used to call it progressives. I used to talk about that. I'm going back to what the real name is and who these people really are. Communists, okay? Been around forever. I did some research, and believe it or not, you can do the same research. There are 45 communist rules, or communist goals, if you will, that this was read into the record on January 10th, 1963 by a congressman from Florida who wanted these principles put into the record and to preserve. And it's a good thing they did, because we probably, now this would have been erased, but we have it on the record, and it's been preserved and hasn't been erased yet. And some of the things I want to tell you, I picked out a couple of those. Again, another article I wrote at SusanKnowles.com about Antifa, who they are. If you go and look at that, one of the things that they really like to do is, of course, get the minds and the hearts and the souls of your children. And I'd say right now, for what I've seen, whenever I see a rally with Antifa, Black Lives Matter, communist groups, other communist groups, I see a lot of millennials. Now, I do see some people older. They haven't quite figured out that they're in the wrong group, I guess. Or they like being with the younger people in the group. But anyway, some of the objectives of communism is to control the schools, control school newspapers, use student riots to foment public protests. And I think, again, if you look at these marches, these rallies, these protests, whatever you want to call them, the Antifa, the people with the black masks over their faces, or bandanas, or hoods over their heads, whatever they're wearing today. Usually that's the costume that they're wearing. You will see all types of millennials. And a lot of these people, as we know, If you look on Craigslist, you're seeing that these people are being paid to be there. And a lot of these other people, they want those people to be there because they need to forward the agenda. And the agenda, what is the agenda? What is really the agenda, bottom line, of the communists? Well, that is to destroy America, destroy the capitalist society, destroy the American culture, destroy the American family, destroy American faith. And I would say, from what we're seeing, they're doing a darn good job. Now, what they would have you believe in the media is that, oh no, this isn't that. This is all about racism. This is about white supremacy. This is about Confederate monuments, Confederate flags, things like that. Nope, no, it's not. Racism is a part of what Antifa communists use in order to bring up some issue that will cause division. And it's working. It really is working. And then you have these people who, either in the schools like the universities or the government, who are so afraid of being politically incorrect. Another reason that communism works so well. They'll go out in the middle of the night and take down these Confederate monuments without voting for it, without asking the people what they want. And isn't that great? Again, you get rid of the government, right? It said an anarcho-communist abolishes the state, abolishes the government. It's the people who rule, right? It's the communists. It's the collective. It's those people who want things done. And you intimidate to get people to do things that you want done. So you intimidate the schools and everybody else, making them feel like they'll be politically incorrect or called a racist if they don't get rid of the monuments, instead of following the legal process, the republic process, the democracy, whatever you want to call it, to ask the people, what would you like to see? And again, it's working. And then part of the communist agenda is to infiltrate the press, gain control of key positions in radio, TV, motion pictures, infiltrate the churches and replace religion with social religion, and the list goes on and on and on. And basically, you can see that. Why do you think the fake press, fake news, why do you think that Donald Trump calls them out? They've infiltrated. The press is supporting these people, if you want to say intentionally or otherwise. Because when they go out and they broadcast, it's always, the Antifa. I mean, these people are just so great to the press, right? And they talk about, they single out the one person who's over here that they claim is alt-right. And they don't really go into detail about how horrible the Antifa are. You also see them not wanting the president to talk about Antifa. It has to be about white supremacists. Let's keep our eyes and our focus away from Antifa. Because if we do that, then we're not helping the communist agenda if our focus is on all the wrongdoers, just one particular group. I mean, do you see what's going on? Do you see the game? Do you see how you're being played and how you're being fooled? Because it's happening right in front of your eyes. And there are helpers. There are helpers. The media is helping. And I love this. Again, Boston Antifa with their tweets came right out and said, there's no room for capitalists, conservatives, libertarians, classical liberals, or supporters of the U.S. Constitution in our city. Now, if after hearing that, if you still don't think this is about communism, then I can't help you. Just tune out right now, because nothing says communist like anti-everything I just read. So when people want to get you looking over here and saying, oh, we're taking out these monuments because of these bad people and these slave owners and blah, 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 you've got to know that you need to stop being gullible, that you need to stop being distracted. Because what is happening as well is, as I said to you, part of the communist agenda is to break down America, break down the culture, break down the history. What better way to erase history than to physically erase history? And some people will say, "Oh, they're just monuments. Put them somewhere." Okay, if the people vote and the people want those monuments removed, I am all for it. Remove them. But until the people vote, they should stay right where they are. And they shouldn't be removed somewhere, put out of the way. It is a part of history. And again, it's about changing that history. I find it interesting to note that in Durham, North Carolina, you remember when the person put a rope around the neck of Robert E. Lee statue and tore it down to the ground. And I guess in their minds, again, if you're doing something for your cause, it doesn't matter if it's illegal, everything's going to be fine. Well, they found out, nope, everything's not fine, so you committed a crime. So they're being charged with, I don't know what they're being charged with, probably destruction of property. Could be a felony, I don't know. It depends on the state of North Carolina. But anyway, 4 people were arrested for that. And it was, we've got to get rid of this because it's a Confederate soldier, Robert E. Lee. But what's interesting is that, and who knows what group exactly this was, whether it was Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or some other group, what other name. But they immediately put up this statute that was a pregnant black woman with the name Lady Liberty. So if that isn't trying to change history, then I don't know what is. I don't know what basically everything with meaning we're supposed to get out of all of that. But I'm sure there's a lot of underlying things. And I think if you're a man, you should ask yourself why it was a woman and not a man. Why it was a pregnant woman. What does that mean? On and on and on. And again, you have to look at these things and know it isn't about the monuments. And it isn't about racism. Most people I know don't sit around all day and talk about other people of other races and say how much they hate them. As I said in my morning show this morning, I have a lot of neighbors on my street from every nationality, every race, every walk of life, old, young, everything you could think of. I mean, we have Hispanics, African Americans, white, Asian, East Indian. I mean, and I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out because, and all of us, we wave to each other, we talk to each other, we give food to each other on holidays, and we like each other. We don't say, excuse me, where are you from? What nationality? What race are you? Because I can't talk to you if you're a certain race. It doesn't happen. And again, you know that as well as I do. And you need to stop feeling some type of guilt and accountability for something that your ancestors did 5 million years ago. Not 5 million years, but you get the point. It's not about that. It's about communism. And I don't care what you want to name the group, it's what's being pushed on America right now. And so one of the ways, we need to stop this. We need to start holding these people accountable for the laws that they break, especially with Antifa. Make it illegal for anybody to wear a mask in public. It's simple. I mean, typically, if you ever see somebody with a mask on, the first thing I'm thinking is they're going to rob a bank. I mean, that's just the way it's been, right? They're not putting a mask on because they're happy, friendly people and they just want to, come up and say hi. So that right there should tell you. And if you're carrying a baseball bat or some other weapon that's illegally, I guess a baseball bat you can have. But, if it's some other weapon that you can't illegally possess in public, then make it a crime, arrest these people, and move on. And if you give and I tell people, they're like, oh, well, these people shouldn't be able to talk or gather. No, that's not true. Just because you support the First Amendment doesn't mean that you get to choose what you want to hear and what you don't. Like, oh, well, I'll give you a permit over here for the Sunday school church, but I'm not going to give Antifa a First Amendment right to speak. I want to give them both a right to speak, because if I don't, then there goes my First Amendment right and yours. Because the First Amendment is about protecting speech that I don't like. I mean, that's what the First Amendment is all about. And by doing that, it protects the speech that I do like. But what I do think is that when you have a permit, let's say for 50 people, and you show up with 200, then you get shut down. If you have a permit and you show up with your masks and your weapons, you get shut down. You don't get to, we're not going to stand around for 2 hours and tell you to please leave. You're going to get shut down right then and there. So we need to be more aggressively going after lawbreakers. Sorry, I know people don't want to hear that. It's been 8 years of lawlessness, but we got to bring the law back. Dallas proved that they know how to do that. Well, the other night when they were having some rally over the weekend, and it's right after the rally. It's not during the rally necessarily. It's right after, when all these troublemakers decide on their own, oh, what are we going to do? So for Dallas, they ran over to a cemetery looking for Confederate monuments, disrespecting the people on the grave sites that were buried there, walking all over the graves, not even caring. And the police are like, okay, you got to get out of the cemetery. You have no right to be here at this time of night, and you don't have any right to come in looking to start trouble, walking over people's graves, knocking things over, whatever. Group of young people, of course. And so they had their mounted horses, and they start pushing people back. And of course, people don't like that. Wait, what are you doing? I should be able to do anything I want. No, you can't. And so they ordered them to leave. And when they didn't leave, the police started coming. And only one person, one young woman, and it's on my website at SusanKnowles.com. You really need to look at the video. It's hilarious, really. Because it starts out, she's got herself and 3 of her friends. Okay, we're going to stand up to the police. And then all of a sudden the friends are like, oh, wait a minute. This could not end well. So they start leaving her, and she's standing there by herself. And the police kind of start pushing her, like, get back. And all of a sudden you see her lean into the police, turn her back on the police, lean into them like, oh, I'm going to defy you. And they basically just suck her up into the crowd, and she's gone and never to be seen again. And I'm sure she was crying somewhere at the end of the night saying, oh, my gosh, why did you do that to me? It's because you need to learn to follow the law. And again, we have to bring back law and order in our towns. Watch Dallas if you don't know how to do it. And last night at the rally, I mean, I saw people getting out of hand, and they had to disperse the crowd with tear gas. Come on. Why should anybody have to be dispersed with tear gas? It's going to get to the point where if these people can't figure out how to obey the law, at a certain point, I hate to say this, if the states don't step up and the cities don't step up and allow the police to do their jobs, the National Guard is going to have to be called in. And who wants to see that? Nobody wants to see that. Why? I mean, we live in a society where people know better. But when you're paying people $50 a pop, if Craigslist is correct, people were paid about $50 for last night's little, show of force or whatever with Antifa. So you're paying people to do your dirty work. And again, it's progressive communists pushing that agenda forward. And we have to bring it all to a stop. Again, I don't mind if these people want to talk. You get your permit. Go and talk wherever you're legally permitted to be. And if somebody doesn't allow you to have a permit, I'll be the first person to stand there and support you. Even though I don't believe your message, I don't support KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, or any other group that looks to bring about a destruction of American culture in any way, shape, or form. I don't support you. But I'll stand there for your right to be able to say whatever you want to, as long as, as it's under the Constitution and valid under the Constitution. You should be given a right to speak. But you shouldn't be given a right to break the law. And that's where I think you're having a little problem trying to understand which is which. I mean, it's amazing to watch some of these young people. Again, as I said, they seem so like, whoa, wait a minute. You mean I can't break the law because I have a cause? I could get arrested? I could go to jail? I could be charged with a felony? Are you kidding me? Nope, not kidding you. Not kidding you at all. And at some point, you're going to have to learn that. Or you're going to be spending a lot of time in jail wondering, geez, what went wrong? What happened? It would be funny if it weren't so serious. I mean, it really would be. And speaking of what's funny, but would be funny if it weren't so serious, the Democrats are coming out now and warning Steve Bannon, the chief strategist that recently left the White House. They have a word for Mr. Bannon. And and here's their little statement. And this was by Elijah Cummings. You know, he's the guy you just love on the Democrat side. And I'm being sarcastic. But anyway, he said, Steve Bannon has an ongoing obligation to safeguard our nation's secrets. And he does not gain some kind of extra constitutional protection just because he is now returning to a position in the media. He was saying that the lawmakers closely watch people in such positions after they leave high-level security positions. He said Bannon should not publish articles in Breitbart that are based on classified material he may have picked up while working in the White House. And if he or anyone else in a similar position fails to meet this obligation and provides classified information to someone who is not entitled to have it, he could and should be brought to justice. Let that sink in just for a minute. We have the Democrats telling Steve Bannon, hey, you know what? Don't you dare publish, talk about, leak, classified or secret information, sensitive information, or you could be brought to justice. Okay, a couple of things come to mind. Hillary Clinton, that's one. Hillary Clinton emails, servers, Uma Abedin, her husband's laptop, okay, another one. James Comey. Information I gave to my friend at the university about a conversation I had with the president because I wanted it leaked. Okay, that's another one. John Podesta emails, another one. Susan Rice, another one. So, do you get my point? These people are crazy. They have some nerve, really, to be telling Steve Bannon, whoop, you better watch out. Don't be putting that classified information out there. I think that Steve Bannon right now is probably just reading that and howling someplace, rolling on the floor laughing. And I'll tell you one thing. If he were to say anything that even remotely sounds like it's classified or secret information, you would have the Democrats run, along with John McCain, running as fast as they could to get sanctions against him, to call him before the whatever Senate hearing that they could get, to call a grand jury, to have him indicted. Mueller would be put on his case again, another conflict of interest, but you know what I mean. It would never end. And they don't even see. I don't even know if they don't get it or if they don't care. Because most people would say, "Are you kidding? You're not really going to say that, right, Elisha? You're not going to go out there and say that because that makes you look stupid. Because you know our side has all these people that I just mentioned." And he's like, "I'm going to put it out there. I don't know what you're talking about." It's one thing about the left that they do differently than us. They support their people who go out and speak out about this president. I don't care how ridiculous you may sound, Maxine Waters, how crazy you may look, Nancy Pelosi, or what it is that you say against the president without any factual information to back it up. They will support you. Nobody laughs. Nobody goes like rolls their eyes or pretends that, "Oh God, I hope nobody notices that I'm in the room when he's saying that because this is so ludicrous." They don't do that. They go on as if everything coming out of this man's mouth was absolutely perfect. And I'm not saying that people on the right should do that. No, people on the right, here's what people on the right do. If you do that stuff on the right, they say, "What in the world is wrong with you? You know, have you gone crazy?" And as they should. But, you know, we're not going to see the left change. They're not going to do anything different than they've ever done before. They will keep moving along and supporting each other regardless of how crazy it sounds. Kind of one last story I want to bring up in the last couple of minutes. This is about veterans. I wanted to let you know that an article has come out recently saying that veterans are 4 times more likely to become homeless than civilian women. And they say that women who've been sexually assaulted are especially at risk, often floundering in society and remaining hidden, even living in cars and motels. Keep that in mind when you see homeless women on the street. Keep that in mind if you are like myself who really cares about veterans and homeless veterans, and I have a heart for the homeless veterans in Arizona, the veterans on patrol. Keep in mind that a lot of women who go through sexual assaults in the military never report it. And if they do report it, then basically a lot of times nothing happens. I've spoken with those women, veterans who claim they've been sexually assaulted in the military, and they have said that some of them have been put right back to work with the same people that they were accused of raping them. So keep that in mind. And we need to do more for our veterans. We always do. We can't stop and think that everything has been resolved. It's just not true. Veterans need our help. They continue to need our help, and especially female veterans as well. Homeless veterans that we see, that we need to not look away, but find a way to help them. If you know of a homeless veteran that needs help, somehow get the information to me. I will get them in contact with those that are in Arizona, and they will help you get there so that you can be with other people who understand what you're going through, other homeless veterans who get it, and they will help you. And I know of one individual that I helped get there who reached out to me, and I'm thrilled that he's there. And he's with his brothers and sisters now, and he feels home and safe, and that's exactly how he should feel. And he's looking for housing to be put in soon, and that's what the goal is, to get them in housing as quickly as possible. So just kind of wanted to end the show today talking about veterans because, again, we can't We can't forget our veterans. It's always good to talk about them, bring up their subjects, make the public more aware of it. And I also want to thank everybody for being here today. I thank you so much for your support for this show and the other shows that I do. Until next week, until another Knowles on the News, take care of yourself. God bless you. We'll see you again really soon. Take care.